What's going on, everybody? My name is Denzel Williams and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the brand new iPhone 15 Pro. Now, Apple comes out with a brand new line of iPhones every year, and this year is no different. But before we get into it, I want to go ahead and give you a gentle reminder to tap that subscribe button. We're constantly growing this community and I would love for you to be a part of it. And while you're here, go ahead and leave a comment just saying what's up. Now that we got that out the way, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, if you've had an iPhone before or just any Apple product over the past 3 or 4 years, you know that there's not much there as far as what's in the box. So they kind of give you everything that you need with just like a couple of items. And this year's iPhone is no different. So you get the phone itself and a USB-C charging cable, as well as your Apple sticker, of course. And that's pretty much it. But one thing I wanted to point out is the fact that it has a USB-C charging. And that was one of the main things that changed with this year's version versus last year's iPhone 14 Pro is the fact that you now have a USB-C charging port, which comes with a USB-C charging cable. Now, this charging cable is a bit different from what they normally have had in past years. This is more of a braided cable, which I'm assuming is their push towards more environmental friendly, products and accessories. So it was definitely a cool touch. And I think for me, it's something different. It doesn't really change the fact that, it's just a standard charging cable and you do not get the charging block, as I always state. They basically want you to use the charging blocks that you've probably had for various other devices. And moving past the charging cable and looking at the phone itself, I went with the blue titanium colorway just because I wanted something different. I wanted something that, a pop of color. I wanted something that was different from what I'm used to. And just going back to even, me picking the purple iPad is just, I wanted to be different. I think a lot of people are gonna go with the titanium finish, which all of the colors to me in general look amazing. But I think for me, it's always one of those things where I kind of want to stand out, be a little bit different. And the blue may not be the fan favorite amongst everybody, but I definitely think it's a color that for me has grown on me since I've had it for almost like a week now, a little over a week rather. But it's one of those where it's like, it works. And I think, like I said, just being different and picking out, a different color, maybe that could be something that, you could go with as well too. And also looking at the phone, just on the sides of the phone itself, it is somewhat of a fingerprint magnet on the sides, but I mean, you can kind of see like smudges and things like that. That's only if you're gonna be using a phone without a case. But I think, for the most part, the majority of people are gonna buy a case and you don't have to really worry about the fingerprints on the side, but on the back of it, doesn't really, carry fingerprints like the previous generations of iPhones where it's like, you can kind of see fingerprints all over it. But with this one, it's not as bad. And for me, I definitely went with the case because I wanted to have something to not only protect it. I'm one of those where it's like, I ain't really trying to be out here without a case on my phone. That's just not me. That's not how I'm trying to play it in life. You know what I mean? But so I went with the silicone case and it's nice. You know what I mean? I went with the Apple official silicone case. It's nice, but do I think that it's worth I think it's like $40 or whatever, how much it is. Is it worth that price for a silicone case? I don't think so. I honestly think you can probably find another silicone case elsewhere that's a lot cheaper and gives you that same type of protection as well too. But I wanted something on it for right now because the phone itself is very slippery. Like it may just be my hands, it may just be me, but the phone, it's slippery. Like that's just what it is. And I don't know, the stress and the anxiety that comes from having a phone with no case is it's too much for me. Okay, so I went on ahead and slapped the case on there and it looks good. It fits for what it needs, but I'll probably swap it out at some point. But again, as always, there's gonna be a ton of different cases that pop up over the next few months. So if you don't see something out now, give them some time and, you'll be able to find a case that fits you. But there are some good looking cases, but as far as for the blue colorway, I haven't seen any real good looking cases that kind of match that blue or go well with it as an accent color. It's kind of, more catered to, of course, the black or the natural titanium, those colors. But again, to keep your eye on it and see, what's best and what looks good for you. And then, you can find you a case that fits for you. And for me, just reasoning into even getting the latest iPhone is just because it was time. I'm coming from a 12 Pro, so don't get on me too bad about it. But I'm the type that kind of holds on to phones as long as I can and then kind of wait until I find the phone that kind of hits all of the marks I need. And for me, this was a big enough jump to where I was like, okay, it makes sense and it's time. The 12 Pro was great, but at the same time, I know, it's gonna be a huge jump. For those of you who may have a 14 Pro, it may not be worth the jump, and I'll talk more about that later on. But I know for me, and for anybody that has like a 12 or a 13, it's definitely worth the jump as far as what all comes with it. And like I said, I think anybody that asks me, or they're like, hey, what do you think as far as, should I get the phone? Should I not get it? My main questions are, which one do you have currently? And that kind of will help dictate my answer on that. So about 2 to 3 years for me is what I normally suggest for people to, get the phone, unless you have like a phone plan that allows you to get the latest iPhone every year. But if it doesn't, then kind of wait 2 to 3 years just to see. And normally in that 2 to 3 year time frame, there'll be a lot of different upgrades to make it more beneficial for you versus going every year after year after year. And there are people who do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm talking about for those who don't do that, definitely, give it a couple years and then, go ahead and upgrade. And I think it'll be worth it. And you can either trade your phone in. Normally it still has a pretty good trade-in value. It's not gonna be nothing how much you paid for it originally, of course, but it'll be, a couple $100 that could save you on your latest phone. So just some food for thought in the event that you're looking to kind of upgrade and trade in that phone. So now with the dynamic island being carried over from the 14 Pro, I definitely think they've made some, great strides into making it a little bit more useful with being able to, use it more for timers and being able to quickly access various apps that you're running at the same time. And even for like Uber Eats and stuff like that, I think that's a pretty cool way to kind of integrate it in, to kind of see it at that time. And it holds you like your little, how long it takes to get to you and things like that, how long you're waiting. So I think as more, apps start to develop and start to kind of dive into the dynamic island and being able to use that, and as far as developers are concerned, I think we'll start to see more and more, reasoning as to, the dynamic island being, just a makeshift kind of like a hot widget. I don't know, I just made that up, but somewhat of a hot widget that you can access at the same time and being able to just get to where you need to get to within the app that you're using. So I think it's early, but again, as they start to develop more and more use cases for it, I think it'll be a lot more interesting for those, using it more. With the 15 Pro, Apple's kind of main, differentiator when it comes to comparing it to the 14 Pro is the fact that they removed the ring silent button and replaced it with an action button. Now this action button already has some predetermined, shortcuts in which you can, access the camera, you can access your focus mode, or if you just wanted to use it for a voice memo, you can do that as well too. And also you can set up your own shortcut via the Shortcuts app, and depending on how you want it to run. So, there's a ton of videos on YouTube as well of various shortcuts that you can use as far as like smart home, or if you wanted to use it to start your car or whatever the situation may be, you can kind of set that up. But I don't think it's something that, that's bad. I feel like I don't use it as much. I mean, I have it still set to just, being able to set my, ringer on or off. And you can also access the ringer on or off if you do change the action button from that, as well as in the control center. So I don't know. Do I hate it? No, but do I think it's like some groundbreaking, feature? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's one of those where if you use it, and I think it's, various use cases of, let's say, you're out and about and you maybe, in a cold climate, instead of, touching the screen, you can kind of use it to get to a quick shortcut that you may use every day. You know what I mean? That, I don't know. That's probably like my only thing that I can think of, but somebody else may have a different use case. But do I think it's beneficial? Yes, but I honestly think it was just something that they've done to kind of make a change from last year's model. And I think as more people start to use it, I think it'll become more beneficial. But for me right now, I don't necessarily use it as much. I kind of just keep it at that. But I also may look into seeing if I can set up some cool shortcuts and, just making that button something that, helps me in my day to day. So we'll see. But overall, nice touch, but I don't know. I think we probably could have done without it. Now, another one of those main physical changes of the 15 Pro is the fact that you now have a USB-C charging port. And I do think this is a pretty good feature to have, because now, of course, it cuts down on the cord control of being able to, you don't have to carry multiple cords for, all your devices, especially if you're kind of tapped into the Apple ecosystem. But I think that it also helps as far as, data transfers and file transfers. Now, just to make note, the cord that comes in the box is just USB 2.0, but you can purchase another 3.0 USB-C charging cable elsewhere, and kind of, it does allow for that. But again, the charging cable that comes with the iPhone is just USB-C 2.0. So just keep that in mind. But going back into using it, you can use it for, plugging directly into a monitor. If that's what you want to do, you can also plug it into a keyboard and use the keyboard on your phone. I don't know why you would use it, but you have that ability to do so. And as well as, plugging hard drives into it as well too, and copying over those files and transferring files over too. So similar in design to kind of what they did with the Mini, being able for it to be USB-C as well as, the iPads, but the same concept applies here. And I think that, it's just a step in the right direction to be able to use your phone for a little bit more than what you would normally do, and kind of definitely going into the pro style phones and devices and stuff as well too. So kind of taking you to that next level. But I think that is something that, would definitely be beneficial for pretty much anyone. Now, moving on into camera quality, the 15 Pro does highlight a 48 megapixel main camera and also adjustable focal lengths as well too. And not to mention, with this model, you do have the ability to shoot and log. Now, for those of you who have never heard of log, or, what is that? It's basically a desaturated version of whatever media you're taking, and you have the ability to be able to color grade at the maximum level. So this is great for those who are into content creation, or they're just looking to kind of get the best possible color options in their post-production edits. So again, I think this is going to be a phone that I think a lot of people who are really into photography, or just content creators in general, you're able to take it to the next level with being able to shoot and log. But not only that, you're able to use some of the more advanced features as well with the camera too, to kind of help you with just casual photos. Everybody isn't a professional photographer or want to be a professional photographer. People just want to take great photos and make it simple and make it easy. And I think with the 15 Pro and what they've done as far as advanced changes, you're able to do that now. I was able to take a few photos myself, and I think they came out really good. I kind of wanted to just shoot a few nature photos and just various photos to kind of just show the range of the camera, but I definitely think they did a great job with being able to kind of make those colors pop out, and it does have a sense of like professionalism with it, and you really can take some good photos. So I mean, for someone who's just gonna be casually using this, I definitely think you can't go wrong. Of course, I mean, I haven't heard too many complaints from a casual user of using the iPhone cameras, but I think for those who are maybe even professional, you can still use this phone in a way that still delivers high quality photos and high quality videos. I think that it just takes, a little bit of the tweaking of the settings to figure out, if this is how you want to shoot it, or how you want to, take this particular photo. That's solely up to you and the creator. But I definitely think with the 15 Pro, you're able to have that leeway to be able to create some of those magical moments. So I definitely, think that it's worth it. So what's running the 15 Pro? It is the A17 Pro Bionic Chip, and Apple claims that this chip has a 70% faster GPU than the 12 Pro. So that kind of gives you a bit of an understanding that they've came a long way from the 12 Pro as far as performance. And with that, stronger, faster chip, it's able to handle a lot more. And one thing that I noticed even with the keynote is that they kind of focused on gaming. I think that, they had the ability to play some of those console games that you see, like the Resident Evil, and I think Assassin's Creed was also another one that they, that will be coming out as well too. And if it's able to run those type of games and, not be laggy and not be all over the place, I definitely think it's going to be crazy as far as the next iteration of iPhones, because now you're taking something that's just as powerful as, you know, your regular console and putting it into a 6-inch phone. And that right there in itself is already mind-blowing to me, because normally you would have some type of problem with being able to run those things and being able to handle those high graphic intense games. But, you know, with the A17 Pro Bionic Chip, now I think that, you know, Apple is kind of turning it up a notch as far as being able to do more in such a compact size. As you know, with new phones comes a new operating system. So all of the 15 models come with the iOS 17 already downloaded on them. And there are a few different features on there. I won't touch on a lot of them. I think I'll take a separate video to kind of walk through those and, you know, making sure that you're maximizing iOS 17, because there are a few good features. But one of the features that, you know, I think a lot of people may get some use out of is the standby mode. This pretty much turns your phone into like a makeshift clock, you know, slash hub, where you can kind of see the time and also see real-time updates, you know, like with Uber Eats or any other real-time app that you may have running at the background. This can be seen while charging as well. So all you have to do is turn your phone into landscape mode. And now, you know, as long as it's charging, you're able to see standby mode and kind of adjust the colors of a clock, or, you know, the calendar or whatever you have on there. So hopefully at some point that becomes a little bit more of a focal point for Apple as well too. I think, you know, that's a cool feature to have with iOS 17, but hopefully we're able to get a little bit more customization and a little bit more, I think, you know, various widgets that may come with that as well too. So it's definitely something that you can kind of customize to your liking, but I think over time, hopefully we're able to get a little bit more out of it. Another feature in iOS 17 is the audio message transcription. So now when you send an audio message to someone, or if someone sends an audio message to you, you can see a transcription of that audio message. So let's say if you just can't get to that audio message at the time, or you can't respond to it, you can kind of just read it and then being able to respond back to it afterwards. So, I mean, it's a slight touch, but I think that, you know, for somebody like me who sends audio messages pretty much every day, and receive audio messages, sometimes I can't get to them. So it's like, you know, it's nice to just be able to see just a brief little overview real quick before, you know, responding back, or being able to be like, oh, is this important or is not important? So, you know, if you're busy, you're able to see it, but a little small touch. But again, like I said, I want to kind of dedicate an entire video to kind of going over iOS 17, so be on the lookout for that too. Now, another talking point that people have been discussing is the fact that the 15 Pro models have been overheating. Now, I haven't experienced any overheating personally, but I have experienced the phone getting extremely hot, let's say when it's charging or if you're on FaceTime. So it does get extremely hot, but I haven't received a message of, hey, you can't do this, you know, particular function because your phone is overheating, because it'll give you like a little warning message. But I haven't experienced it, but there are some times where I'm like, this is getting a little toasty, you know what I mean? So the overheating, no, but definitely it does get really hot. FaceTime, charging, let's say if I'm on FaceTime, I'm trying to do something else, it does get really hot. So it's not something I'm not used to, because the 12 Pro also did get hot when charging, but it was definitely one of those things where this is kind of, I don't know if this is kind of normal or not, but I haven't experienced the overheating part, but I'm for sure have experienced it being hot as all get out. So definitely something to be on the lookout for. With the latest update Apple sent out, you should not have any more overheating problems, but I think that, again, it's something to be on the lookout. I don't know, maybe it's just my phone. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you've experienced some overheating with your, 15 Pro or 15 Pro Max. So let me know. But I know for me, no overheating, but it gets hot. But as far as battery life, I mean, I haven't experienced like a huge drop off of, it just dying on me in the middle of the day. I think if in the event that the more that you use any situation, it's hard to kind of judge, because everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to use, their phone at different times. Some people may not use it a lot. Let's say if they're at work and they're kind of just, they just have their phone to just check, text messages and stuff like that. It's probably not going to die as quick as it would for somebody who's constantly on the phone. You're on social media, you're using various apps, you're playing games, you're making phone calls, you're on FaceTime, so that'll run a battery down. But for me, I've been getting good battery time as far as just, just using it casually throughout the day. And it normally lasts me, it gets down, like if I'm charging at 100% at 8 a.m., going through a work day, and then, maybe going out throughout the day, just going to get food or going to the grocery store or something like that, I'm looking at probably like 40% from 8 a.m. to about, 7 at night. And that's just 40% because, and again, it's depending on what you're doing, that's gonna dictate the battery life. So it's hard to kind of judge, and everybody's gonna be different, but I have an experience where it's just like a crazy drop off from me being on the phone, and all of a sudden, I go from 100% to like 70% in a matter of an hour. It's more so like a gradual drain. So just be on the lookout for that. But like I said, as far as battery life, I don't think it's something that, is different, but, it's gonna vary based upon the person. So the main question I'm pretty sure everybody has in mind is, should I upgrade to the iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max? And to answer that is really based upon where you're coming from. So if you take away the action button, you take away the USB-C charging port, and you take away the A17 Pro Bionic Chip and the bezels that made the phone thinner, you pretty much have the 14 Pro. So if you have the 14 Pro, I would definitely say hold on to that phone maybe for another year to see what Apple does with the 16, or if they do 15S, which I think they probably will never do, but if they do a 16 next year, I would say hold on to the phone till then, because you're not really getting like a massive upgrade outside of the performance part of it. But if you're coming from, let's say in my situation, that you're coming from a 12 Pro, an 11, or any of those older previous phones, definitely, don't walk, run to the store and go ahead and upgrade, because I think you'll benefit a lot more from the performance, as well as now you've kind of pushed your way into the current gen phone, and now that'll probably last you for another 2 to 3 years. Like I said earlier, I normally don't suggest people to get upgrades to phones every 2 or 3 years. It's probably best, unless you just really want to get the latest phone every year. I don't think so. I mean, I think you should, just take it 2 to 3 years. It'll get you what you need, and barring any drops, cracks, spills, damage to it, you'll get a good 4 or 5 years out of a phone. Like, it's not something that's just going crap out on you. Now the battery will degrade, but that's with every other phone. But like I said, to answer the question, is depending on where you're coming from. I've enjoyed my 15 Pro, and I've enjoyed it, the big jump that I've made, and I definitely think it was warranted. But for somebody who just got the 14 Pro last year, I would say hold on to the phone, and I think you'll be okay. So no need to go out there and run and pay another $1,000 for a phone. You already have a pretty good phone, and I think you'll be just fine with the iOS 17 update. You'll be good to go. As always, if you made it to this part of the video, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come sit down and listen to me talk. And I appreciate you so much. And if you liked the video, please be sure to leave a like, tap that subscribe button, and just let me know in the comments below what you think. Are you getting the 15 Pro? Have you got it? Have you experienced any issues? Would love to let the community know what you've got going on, or if you're planning on getting it, or if you don't plan on getting it, reason why, just let me know, and love to start that conversation. But until next time, much love, peace.